Hey, cousin. What's up?
You just showing up like unannounced, girl. You know we have bad things with family around here.
No, I'm not like that. You know I'm not like that. I just need somewhere to lay my head.
What happened?
We got evicted. I need somewhere to stay. It happened unexpectedly.
What happened?
So unexpectedly, like how? How?
I don't know. We got evicted. I don't know. We just
You weren't paying the rent. You were.
I was not paying the rent. He was paying the rent.
Well, if he was paying the rent, how'd you get evicted?
He wasn't paying. Like I don't. I was.
Why weren't you paying the rent?
So I was giving him money to pay the rent, and he wasn't paying the rent. He was using it on other things. He wanted to flip the money, and he ended up losing the money. So we're out.
Why would you even mess with a guy like that?
Ooh.
But you got money?
I just told you I was giving him money for the rent.
Okay, well you can give me $833.
I have to pay to stay with you?
Yes, you gotta pay to stay here. Your living ain't free.
Hey, cousin.
I'm not gonna lie, I love that. I love that. Because so many people just come with these stories, especially what we see on TikTok, and they'll give those stories to strangers. And strangers will just accept the story on face value and not ask any other questions to try to uncover the real root of what happened. This is her family member, and she's asking all these questions. So I don't know how people come online and they're able to raise all this money and people ask no questions. But you see, she was getting deeper and deeper to the root of the thing, which it was obvious that the woman who was in need of help, she was being defensive and she really didn't want to disclose it. Imagine that. Imagine coming to somebody needing something, but not being willing to be vulnerable and just tell the truth and just tell them what happened. Then not wanting to be accountable. And if you were paying, I love that she's just being logical throughout this whole interaction. If you were willing to pay rent before, what's the difference if you come over here? You're paying this dude the money and he's not doing right by it, but you don't want to pay me the money and you're looking at me like I'm the bad person because I want you to give me some money because you just came on my front door unannounced, unexpected. I think, listen, I'm not mad at her whatsoever. Y'all, if you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second and it actually does help out tremendously.
You know, the thing is, I can never feel bad about somebody, especially if you don't look like me. I'm sorry, but the whole like put yourself in my shoes, I can't because I am a black woman, dark-skinned black woman, tall, born in and raised in Spain in a small town. Yeah.
That's interesting.
And everyone knows that Spain is a racist country. If you don't think that Spain is a racist country, then I don't know. We don't even have black doctors, black police officers, black bus drivers because they don't want black people to work in public places. Let's get that, okay? Here, you guys have that, okay? They don't want us in public places. If I manage to make it out of life, and I'm not saying racism doesn't exist, I'm talking about me feeling bad for people who don't look like me. If I manage to make it out of life, it's because I don't have a victim mindset. So sorry, I cannot relate to your sufferingness. If your suffering is optional. Your suffering is optional. Mine wasn't. And I still managed to be happy with my life. If you can, that's your problem. That's your problem. That's your problem. I had to stop being friends with a lot of white women because they tell me, oh, you don't understand. You don't understand. Put yourself in my shoes. I can't do this. I can't do that. If I can do it, best believe you can too. You know, the thing is,
I'm going to have to kind of restrain myself here because I can go on for days about this. The victim mindset. Listen, I view pressure as a privilege. That's just me. Because it's only going to build you up and make you stronger. And it's going to keep you sharp. Some people, well, first of all, like what expectations did we have from life? Did we just think that life was just going to be fair all the way across the board and we all come in with the same hand and, everything is going to be equal across the board? Because funny enough, most of the people with the victim mindset and who are already, according to them, been giving a bad hand in life, I noticed that a lot of times they just continue to add other wounds on themselves that make their life significantly harder. If you already had a bad hand in life and you already didn't get a fair shot, what occurred to you in your mind to go have 6 kids and be a single mother? Same for the fellas. If you didn't have a fair hand, what made you want to go impregnate 6 different women? It just doesn't make sense to me. And so then at that point, you can no longer use that as an excuse, because now it really just came down to your own decisions. What now, are you going to use the victimhood as an excuse for your own mindset? And that's what they'll do too. Oh, nobody told me this, nobody told me that, nobody taught me this. So that's why I went and impregnated 6 women. No, brother, that's common sense. You just was impulsive and you wanted to do in the moment, and you weren't thinking about the consequences, but you knew what happens when you do that. So I'm not mad at what she's saying. I'm not mad at what she's saying. But some people do have things that are uncontrollable, but we just got to understand what's uncontrollable. And then what are we controlling that we can control?
I ran away from home at 27. Y'all are probably like, what, girl? Yeah, I ran away. Well, I had to make sure that my daughter was straight first. But I literally packed my bags in March of 2023, and
How do you run away from home at 27? Ma'am, you just moved.
I left. My dad physically assaulted me, and yeah, your girl just couldn't take any more drama in the family. So I literally woke up one day and took a 16-hour road trip with one of my friends to Miami, Florida. When we got there, we stayed together for about a month, I believe, and then we parted ways. She went to another part of Florida, and then I went to another part of Florida.
We parted ways means that they was getting into it. They wasn't as cool as they thought they was, whatever the case. And basically that, because it was only a month, they realized real quick they were like water and oil. They just couldn't mix. And they probably had a falling out.
This part of my life broke me down so bad, but it also built me up. I was in a new place that I had never lived before and around people that I didn't know. I traveled throughout Florida by myself while finding myself. I went through Dania Beach, Hollywood, Hallandale, Fort Lauderdale, and so many more cities. But I ended up staying in Miami. After so many Airbnbs, I ended up finding a roommate, and we lived together in Wynwood. Looking at these pictures and videos, nobody would have known that I was homeless. Don't compare yourself.
Interesting. So I kind of want to go back to that first clip for a second. We're not going to actually go back to it, but the woman who she was homeless, but then at the end, it ended up being a happy situation for her and her son, and she was able to come out of homelessness, and it looked like she had the keys at the end, and she actually was able to get a home. And that's great, and that's inspiring. However, there's an easier way. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to glorify the struggle. Listen, sure, you figured it out, you did it, that's amazing. But ideally, it would have been easier to figure out had you not had a child first. Then you figured out your affairs. Then when you had the home, then you had the child. I think you could have cut that timeline in half conservatively, probably even better than that. But ultimately, we just need to be a little bit more responsible, and we need to think about what we're doing before we make certain decisions. Same with the second woman in Miami. She was staying at home with her parents up until the age of 27 with a child. Again, it looks like you never moved out from home. So how you got pregnant, I don't know. I don't understand how you allowed that to happen in the modern century when there's, especially for women, so many different forms of contraception. So that's ultimately what I'm trying to flag here, that if we're just a little bit more responsible, and because when you take on another responsibility like a child, that already limits your capacity and the other things that you can actually focus on in order to better yourself, better your life and yourself. And in most careers or most things that you want to do, the beginning part is going to be the hardest part. But then when you're actually able to get over that hump, and get sustainable, then it becomes easier, it becomes calmer, and that's a much better situation, in my opinion, to bring a child into.
So I see so many people that are living in their car. I used to pick up at Panera Bread every morning. I would go in there. I would get out to work at like 6 a.m. doing DoorDash, and I would see the same car in the parking lot every single morning. And this person, they would sit in the parking lot all day, and you could see their stuff in their car. And clearly this person was homeless, living in their car. There are so many people who live in their cars. Even like Walmart parking lots, you'll see the same cars there all day, and it's very, very sad, but that's just what people have to do because they don't have the money to afford this high rent. That is an issue. Nobody should have to live in their cars just because they can't afford rent. It's just not the way to live.
I'm a teacher and I can barely afford to pay rent with my salary. My salary bi-weekly is basically my rent minus $500. Guess how much my car is? $400. Guess how much insurance is? $100. Oh, yeah, that's right. You do the math. I'm left with owing money at the end of the month. That's not even with groceries. Holy that's not even with groceries. I realize every single month I am transferring money out of savings into my checking, and I am not. Just had the realization in the car that I'm actually gonna go into debt if I continue being a teacher. Like, genuinely. Genuinely. Wow. Oh, I'm like literally having a crisis right now. I'm gonna have a panic attack right now. I can't do this. I literally cannot do this. Knowing every single month that most of my money is literally like, I don't have money. Okay, I don't know how I'm gonna pay off my credit card this month. I don't know. All right, well, rats, peace and blessings, and I hope you can afford your rent today and groceries and your car and insurance. And
Yeah, teachers should definitely get paid more for the impact that they have. But here's what I'll say too, you have to look at that as a strategy. What I would recommend for teachers, because I've seen teachers, and if you didn't know, during those breaks, especially like summer break, when you get like 2.5 months off the year, but you still get your teacher check, a lot of teachers actually just take that time and they just kind of take a break. I think that they need to have a more long-term view of even that time frame. And I'm sure there are teachers that still capitalize on it. However, she needs to start looking at her bills and her budget on a more longer scale in order to plan. Here's what I mean. Just for easy numbers, if her rent's, let's just say for easy numbers, $1,000 a month, she doesn't need to be breaking it down month to month. She needs to be breaking it down off what's it going to cost her for the year. 12K. Your rent's going to be 12K. How much your car going to be? Okay. She said, let's just say 500 for the car. So we know that 12K plus another 6K, 18K, you need to make sure that you have. Then what that would reveal to her is during those 2.5 months where she's still getting her teacher's check, she probably needs to get another job making some more money. And then honestly, that would be able to knock down that 18K number a lot better. And then she should actually just plan out the rest of the years based off her teacher's check after she's able to knock down, because she'll be making double the money kind of in a way, right? Because she'll have another job. And she could even work more than 40 hours, especially since I'm sure it's hard for her to work as a teacher during the school year, because teachers have homework just like kids. They have to grade papers. They have to do things on their own time. So that's what if she's not doing that, I recommend she use that. Maybe even get into another like career during those times. I don't know. But definitely want to try to use that time and not just look at it as a 2-month vacation, in my opinion. But again, still hard nonetheless. It's just a problem you got to try to solve. Possibly even, try to get in a relationship probably.
As a homeless person, y'all, I just got my shelter and I love it here. It's a women's shelter. And this is my bed look like. This is fresh from me walking into the room. Bed look like this. Know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? Now, I want me over here whenever they come, if they ain't already come, because they stuff already set up. So, cute. Gonna be my roommate. Hopefully, get along. We go together. Tell them we go together. I made friends with. For some reason, they not in my pot, and I'm kind of it about that. Got me a little locker. So far as all my stuff, I was worried. I'm a YouTuber. I got a tablet, computers, all that stuff, cameras.
The YouTuber.
In here, they wash your clothes for you. They do everything for you. God, I'm just so grateful. Only thing is, you can't make no money, but other than that, life is life. Okay, let me share my little seat.
The way she's acting, like, would you believe she's in a homeless shelter and in a destitute situation, one step away from being on the streets? Because there is the next step down from a homeless shelter is just under a bridge. I think that, like, it's true that women at a young age are more mature than boys. But then when we get into real life and we become adults, I think it inverts after that. And it, because she's a grown woman, and look how she's acting when she's like in such a destitute situation. It's she's still acting immature and she's still playing around, and she's in a homeless shelter. And a lot of the stuff that we review, they're like having this like super happy-go-lucky attitude when they're in a homeless shelter. When, in my opinion, that's the time when you need to get serious and you need to get disciplined.
Oh wait. And look at my closet space. It's sitting on who? Oh, okay. So I unboxed some of my stuff that was in my bag, and look what they gave me. So cute. They gave me toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, body lotion, Carmex. Not literally Carmex, but you know, chapstick. They is snappy. Oh, go cry. Alright, so this is a women's shelter. I am here because of my circumstances, obviously. And I'm in another state. So you can say what you want to say about me, but bitch, I'm out of town thugging in my rounds. Anyways, this is an all woman shelter and I fuck with it. At least this is the first day.
So now we have a little insight into her mindset. She just quoted Sexy Red. Some of my audience may not know who that is, but that is probably the most degenerate female rapper of the last century or two. That's what she just quoted. So that lets us know where her mind is at, as well as she just said that she's there because of her circumstances. So you mean to tell me you have no culpability within the matter? It's just strictly your circumstances, because I'm looking at you and it doesn't seem to be anything wrong with you. So aside from that, what type of circumstance could have you in the situation? I know there are some, but to just act like it's 100% on circumstances and it's nothing that you could have done to change it, I don't agree with that. Let's finish this up.
We're gonna see. Because I'm gonna be vlogging. And I'm gonna be talking to y'all. So we're gonna see how this process goes and stuff. I ain't gonna lie. Here go like the pros and cons. Okay. Cute setup, right? Nice people. Church facility, so it's like not, it's like a lot of stuff that they don't let you do and don't let you do. And Bible. You gotta keep one of those things. You see the dust, nobody touched this thing in a while. Yeah, anyways. That benefit. Cons. Okay, for another, let me get into this some more. They feed you. You don't have to worry about nothing. But you do got a phone and your phone bill gonna cost. So it's saying that you at a place that don't allow you to make money is kind of like, that's the cons. Cons is you can't make money while you staying here. You could be staying here for 30 days to a year or longer, because of the programs they want to put you in and stuff. But yeah, each person individual case is different. It's just 30 days max here, and then another program and a program after that. So, but I'm here. Your girl got somewhere to sleep, and that's all that matters to me.
Yeah, so I think I've done enough of these to start to kind of understand. It seems like for some people, and I'm really just speaking mostly towards the ladies, a lot of times the urgency really doesn't hit until the consequences are here now. Like, you are on the street, no other options. For me, my urgency meter would have hit long before I even ended up in the shelter. But if I was in the shelter, it would actually turn out to be a blessing for me, because whatever I had within me that was weak, that I've been struggling with from a discipline standpoint, from any standpoint, I'd have tightened it up so good, and I'd have become a different type. I'd have become a different man. It would actually, sometimes I'm like, man, it's been a while since I like was in a situation where my back was against the wall that just forced me to evolve. I kind of look for it sometimes. But because my urgency clicks in so early, it never really gets to that because I'm able to mitigate a lot of things that would ultimately come down and force me to be reactive. But for this young lady in particular, it seems like her urgency is not going to hit until it's a wrap. That's what it seems like. Because, I mean, this is already rock bottom in my opinion. But we'll leave it there for today. If you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second and actually does help out tremendously. Also, if you could hype the video, hype is a new feature that YouTube offers where it helps smaller content creators like myself. And when you hype, it actually pushes us to the extent that it pushes the larger content creators. So all you do is hype and then it'll show you the points. Since I am a smaller content creator, we get more points. And then Patreon's link below if you want to see self-improvement content as well. But until then, I'll catch you in the next video.